Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to address a concern about gaining weight during recovery and gaining muscle weight in particular. I think this is probably at the top of, if not the most common, one of the most common fears with recovery is that you're going to gain weight. And when you've been into numbers for so long, even if it's muscle weight, it still messes with your head because you're used to identifying yourself with numbers. And even if you know that you're gaining muscle, it still messes with your head a lot. I know that. And it will probably mess with your head for a long time. So my suggestion is, number one, stop weighing yourself completely. That's, I think, one of the most difficult things to do. It was for me. I had to go through, it seriously took me at least 3 months of treatment before I would even agree to get rid of my scale, and when I did, it was a dramatic event of throwing it off a roof. If you watch my channel, you can see my video of, that's how I came up with my channel, Kill the Scale, was because of that one incident. So, first of all, that's what I would say is somehow find the strength within yourself, whether you have to dramatically hit your scale with a sledgehammer, whatever you have to do, stop weighing yourself. You may reach a point sometime in your life where I cannot have a scale in my home. I become obsessed with that very easily. I do occasionally weigh myself at the gym, very infrequently. I get panicked when I go to the doctor and I know they're going to weigh me, so that's an issue that causes me a lot of anxiety still. And I'm an athlete, so I have gained a lot of muscle during recovery because I've started running marathons and ultramarathons. And as a result, even if I were to lose most of the fat on my body, I would probably still weigh a lot more than somebody who doesn't work out. Also, some of that's genetic, how you carry muscle and fat. Some people are just naturally going to weigh less. So, and that's a very difficult thing to accept, that your body will carry the weight it is. But part of the problem is our society tends to base a lot of things on numbers. We break down, we do funny things with food, like breaking it down into nutrients, where other cultures, they have a cuisine, and they have traditional foods, and they eat traditional foods, and they do fine on traditional foods. But in our culture, we've taken food, we've made it into something completely unrecognizable from the original source. We have basically 3 main monocrops, which are corn, soy, and wheat, and we've taken them and we've created like 17,000 new products every year that are totally unrecognizable as those things, and that we're told are new and great and improved and have added nutritional value. But the problem with doing that is we have numbers stuck in our head. So we need this many calories, we need this many grams of fat. And just like weighing yourself, looking at nutritional labels can be highly inaccurate. Number one, because the calories listed on there can be completely off. Number two is the way that we metabolize calories is really just a theory, and it has a lot of holes in it because people metabolize things differently. There's there's some people that eat tons of food and don't gain weight. There's people that eat very little food and gain lots of weight. So some of that's based on genetics, some of that's maybe based on the food you're eating, especially if it's not whole foods. But we take nutrients and we say, oh, you need more vitamin C, or you need this. And so we try and take these micronutrients out of the food and make it a separate thing when we don't even know, is it that nutrient that's doing us good, or is it the synergy between the food and whatever's in there that's really what's causing, or is it something else completely that's causing the health benefit? We've done that with a lot of things like bran and fiber and lycopene in tomatoes, which they're finding lycopene by itself really doesn't do a whole lot. It has to be in the tomato, and you have to eat the whole tomato. So if you can look at it that way and look at it from that context, that's what Western culture has done to food, I think Western culture has also done that to body size and weight. We have to identify things by numbers. So we try and identify health by a number. You're healthy if you are in this BMI. You're healthy if you have this body fat percentage. You're healthy if you're within this weight range. And of course, people with eating disorders, we tend to be perfectionists, and we measure our worth by getting smaller and having a lower number. So, a 0 is obtainable, or a 0 is not obtainable, is idealized, which, 0, if you think about it, a 0 is a 0, and who wants to be a 0? But we do that to our minds. So you have to look at it start to look at it that way, and look at the fact, if you look at just the number, you're not seeing the whole picture of health and of you as a whole person. The same thing as if you take a nutrient in your food, you're not seeing the whole food and the whole cuisine and the whole culture around that food. And so that's why it is so important to, I think, get rid of your scale, and it's difficult because you have identified yourself so long with that number that you'll feel really lost for a while. You'll feel panicky for a while because suddenly you'll have all these emotions that you're used to placating with a scale and with fixating on that number that you won't know what to do at first. And so you'll have to learn how to ride those emotions out. And you may initially gain some weight in recovery, but generally what happens is people stabilize. So if you're underweight, if you're severely underweight, you could expect that you probably will gain weight, but you will probably get to a healthy number and stabilize. If you're already at a healthy weight, my experience and most people's experience with recovery is that while you may initially put on some weight because your body is like wigging out because it doesn't know what to do, and I'm not talking about like hundreds of pounds, I'm talking about maybe 5 to 10 pounds, generally your body will come back down and will stabilize. And so as that ratio is changing between fat and water, and a lot of that, you're going to be bloated at first, and you're going to be carrying lots of water weight, so a lot of that weight gain is just water, and your body's trying to relearn how to metabolize. And so most likely what you're going to do is you're going to put on a little weight, and then you're going to come back down, and you're going to stabilize. And if you're underweight, it'll feel like you're getting fat because you may be going up and up and up in pant size. But when you get to a healthy weight, then your body's going to kind of stabilize, and you're not going to get any bigger. And that's just if you're eating intuitively, if you're eating good whole foods, you're not counting calories, you're not looking at a scale, and you're not using food to deal with your emotions, generally that is what will happen. And so if you can get rid of that scale and start to trust your body, start to let it do what it needs to do, then it not only will then help your recovery and confidence, but it will help you to start changing your mindset, because you can't identify yourself with a scale. You're going to have to start looking at yourself as a whole person and looking at other aspects of yourself and dealing with it. So, I'm a runner. I have tons of muscle in my legs. In fact, I feel like I have huge calves, even though people tell me, I have skinny legs. I don't feel like I have skinny legs. I look at my legs and I'm like, those are humongous. And I want them, and, in my mind, I'm like, wish they were smaller, but I know that what is on my legs is almost pure muscle. I can see it, I can feel it, and those muscles are what help me to run. Those muscles are what give me the ability to perform. And so I know that that's probably adding a lot of weight to me, but it's really body definition. And if you look at people who are toned, who have muscle, they don't look fat, and they look toned, and they look good, and they generally weigh more than people who don't work out, who may be skinny. But if you look at the really thin people and compare them to the muscly people, I'm not I think when I look at the two, I think that person with muscle looks a lot healthier to me, regardless of their size, just because they're toned. They have that glow about them of the happiness they get from being in shape and having those endorphins, and of course in a healthy mindset, not obsessively with exercise. But really, I mean, you have to work at it, and you will notice the difference, and eventually you'll get to a point where you feel better about yourself because you can perform, and it's not worth starving yourself to lose the muscles. So that would be my advice. Start with a scale, start looking at aspects of yourself, and you'll do fine.